If you've been in business for more than 5 minutes, you've probably had someone throw some advice at you, whether you asked for it or not. And while some advice is actually very helpful, some of it is straight up terrible. And as someone who is 3 years into business, I've made my fair share of business decisions. And looking back, there are a few pieces of advice that I wish I didn't listen to. And so I'm going to break down those pieces of advice in this episode and what actually works instead, and how I'm really leaning into trusting my own gut instead of too many outside voices. So if you've ever felt pressured to follow someone else's roadmap, even when it doesn't feel right for you, this episode will give you permission to do things in your way. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Cozypreneur podcast. If this is your first time listening, Cozypreneur is all about helping you make money and work with the dreamiest of clients. So grab your beverage, get your cozy socks on, and let's dive in. So when you are building a business, everybody has their own opinion about how you should do things, the way you should do it, where you should spend your money. And sometimes the advice sounds good, but it doesn't always apply to you in your business. And the other thing I'll say before we get really into this is that there are multiple ways to get the same end result in business, and you don't have to do it in the way that somebody else is doing it. You can do it in a way that works for you. So the first piece of bad advice was really from the first coaching program I ever invested from. And there was this idea that after everything was ready, and the whole point of this program was to get you ready, then you can start signing clients. And so in this program, the focus was really on having the perfect workflows, building the systems, having a perfect offer suite, and getting everything extremely ready for those clients. So when you get those clients, they are ready to go. Everything's automated, all of that stuff. And so I did this program, and by the end of those 3 months, guess what? I didn't have clients because I was spending so much time getting ready. I wasn't actually selling anything. And that really didn't set me up for success. And the truth was that once I actually started getting clients, because I then invested in another coach to teach me sales and how to do sales in a way that feels good to me, I realized that all of that time spent getting ready, I ended up tweaking all of those things anyways. So like the perfect workflow that I created, I ended up changing my offers like 3 times that first year because I didn't really know what I wanted to offer and what was going to work best for me and what was going to feel good. And so what actually worked better for me and what I actually wish I did was just start selling right away, even if you don't have your website up, even if, your social media isn't super ready, even if your email list is not ready, like it's okay. Just start showing up and people will follow your journey and people will be there excited to see you grow. And so that is something that has been cool, like having these people that have watched my business go from, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing, I have 0 clients, to like, hey, I'm actually getting my clients results and I'm good at what I do. And so letting yourself just be messy and not feeling like you have to wait XYZ until you do the next thing in your business and just improve it over time and refine it over time and letting your business grow naturally, sustainably, that's going to be way more effective than trying to get everything ready before actually putting yourself out there and trying to get clients. And this lesson has really been coming up for me because my sister is actually starting her own ops business. And if you need operations support, let me know. I will connect you with her. She's really great at what she does. She was doing corporate operations for 2 decades. So let me know. But anyway, she's starting her business and she's like, well, I need a website. I need this, I need that. And I'm like, you actually don't. Like, just start selling. And then once you have some clients, you're going to have a better idea of what you even want on your website. You're going to have a better idea of what your offers even are going to be, because sometimes it's hard to know exactly what your offers are going to be right at the beginning. And so figuring things out as you go, not putting it off because it's not perfect. Like, it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to change. Your brand is going to change. Your understanding of your ideal client is going to change. And as you get to know your ideal clients, and as you become more confident in what your brand is and what you want your brand to be, then you can go and refine. Like, I would have saved myself so much time if I didn't create those perfect workflows at the beginning and I had waited until I actually knew what my long-term offers were going to be and then created workflows. Because I have spent so much time creating workflows and then getting rid of that offer and then creating workflows and then getting rid of that offer. And it really was because I didn't know my ideal client well enough yet. And I didn't know what the best ways to support them. But now that I'm 3 years in and I know all of those things, now it's making sense to really go back and refine those systems. And I do remember, when I was given this advice of like, get ready, wait until you're ready, it was very much like, well, when you're busy with client work, you're not going to want to come back and streamline everything. But the truth is that, like, you don't know what you need to streamline until you're actually doing it and until you're actually working with clients, because that gives you a lot of information about what your client experience actually looks like. And then you can go back and refine the workflows, the systems, all of that stuff. So that is the first bad advice of waiting until you're ready. Trying to be a perfectionist. It's just not the way to do business. Like, it's going to be a lot more effective for you to just go out there, try something out, and then refine as you go. The second piece of bad advice that I have gotten is, and these two next pieces kind of go together, but the first one is introducing coaching because that's where the money is at. And while coaching is great for some people, it is not the way to make money. It's not something that you should do just to make money. Like, coaching is not that simple. Just because you do something doesn't mean that you're going to be a good coach. And this is coming from me, who has a degree in educational leadership. I am an expert in adult learning. Just because something makes you money doesn't mean that it's the right thing for you to do. And if you have never learned about educational design, about adult learning, about all of these things that go into coaching, then it might not make sense for you to offer coaching. It might not make sense for your brand because you are not actually an expert in how to coach. So just because you're an expert in what you do doesn't mean you're going to be a great coach. And it doesn't mean that you can't be a great coach. Even if you don't have all of that experience, you can, teach yourself educational design. You can teach yourself adult learning strategies. You can teach yourself facilitation and leadership techniques. But it shouldn't be, I'm putting coaching in my offer suite because it's going to help me make more money. Like, coaching should be something that you do because you like coaching, you're good at coaching, and you can help your clients get results. Coaching is not, I'm going to lecture people in a hot seat coaching call every week. Like, there is a lot that goes into coaching. And as somebody who loves teaching, who actually has a background in educational design and learning, I know coaching can be lucrative and very profitable, but it's not why I added my membership into my business. I added my membership into my business to be accessible for the people who are not ready to outsource copy. And so even though I have a membership and I'm coaching inside that membership, it's actually not priced super high. And the reason is because I want people to be able to have good copy, because that's what's going to open the doors to making more money, even if they can't afford to outsource their copy. And this isn't like, hey, I am adding this because I need to make more income on my product suite, but instead it's like, this is coming from something that I'm really good at and that I enjoy doing, and that's why it's added to my product suite, not because it's another avenue to make money. And so if you are somebody who's like, well, I'm adding coaching to my services because I want to make more money, then that's not necessarily what you have to do. You can if you want to, but there are ways to make more money without adding coaching. And you don't have to listen to the people on Instagram who are telling you that you need to add coaching to your offer suite in order to make more money. So for me, it really was building a model for my business of how I actually want to serve people. And so that includes having the copy studio and then also having the membership. The other piece of advice that kind of goes with this one is having a full product suite. And so from the beginning, when I started, that was one of the first things that I learned. You need a lot of products. I wish that I had done this differently because more offers does not mean more money. More offers means more work. The amount of work that goes into creating a new offer between figuring out what the right messaging is, marketing it, creating the actual offer, building the client experience workflows behind the scenes, and just constantly building new, instead of creating something really simple. And I talk about this in another podcast episode where I fell into this trap of like wanting to create courses, and then I was trying to launch these courses, but I couldn't figure out when to launch the course and also launch my membership. And what about the copy studio? And so then I was creating all of these offers, but it was stressing me out. And instead of creating them in a way that is going to make my life easier, so instead of creating all of those courses, putting them inside the membership. That's my plan for Q2. Instead of like creating different packages for the copy studio, just making it super simple. Hey, here's what I offer. Here's what you need. And when I was able to simplify down to like basically 2 big offers, right? So inside the copy studio, there are several things you can get. You can get website copy, you can get launch copy, email marketing, and you can get the brand messaging. And then in the education side of the business, then I've got the membership. And so instead of like trying to throw a million things at my people, just making it super simple and really just giving people 2 paths. So like 1, you are ready to outsource, go to the copy studio. 2, you're not ready to outsource, go to the membership. And then of course there are free resources like this podcast, like the blog, like the freebies to support your growth if you are not ready to invest at all. And so really thinking about like my ideal client and what is the best way to get people from point A to point B, and how can I keep that simple? I don't need 5 coaching products and 5 copy studio products. Like, no, that's too many services. That's too many things. I just need something simple that's going to work for me and it's going to work for my people. And consistently creating new offers is just so stressful. The other thing too is like, if you're constantly creating something new, so like, I think this happens a lot at the beginning of business because you create an offer, it doesn't really sell as well as you want it to, so you just scrap that offer and create a new offer. But really, like what you're missing is an opportunity to change that offer into something that people are going to want, and really validating that offer and then going and launching it, because every time you put your offer out there, it's giving you information. So like if you're putting your offer out there and nobody's biting, what are the conversations that you were having with those people and how can you implement that into the offer? A lot of the times you don't need to change the offer. You just need to think about how can you position this so it makes sense for my ideal client to invest in it, because it's going to be the exact right type of support that they need at this moment. And so really, you don't need to offer everything over the sun. I would keep it simple, 1 to 2 like main offers. And you don't have to, the other thing too is like, you don't have to market all of your offers. So like, for example, I talk about the membership a lot. I talk about the copy studio a lot, but I don't really talk about my retainer offers a lot. And that's because I usually sign retainer clients after somebody has done a one-time project with me. I like having that kind of a test project to see like if, you know, we work well together, all of those things, but you don't need to like go out and market every single offer, because if you're marketing 10 different offers or even 5 different offers, that's so many offers, that's so much copy, that's so much work to actually be trying to get people in. Like, start simple. Another piece of advice that I got that did not work for my business. Now, I don't think this is necessarily a bad piece of advice. I think it just didn't make sense for my business, was to start a free community, because that would help me build my audience. And in theory, a free community sounds really great. It's connection, it's nurturing, it's relationship building, but it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of work that I did not have the capacity for, and it really did not give me a return on my time or energy. And what actually happened was I created this free community. It was an offset of the membership. And so there was like parts of the membership you could get for free. And then if you wanted actual support with copy reviews and resources, you would have to join the membership. And what actually ends up happening is I had a welcome sequence, and I was getting really, really good conversions from the welcome sequence to the free community. But after people were in the free community, their journey died. They stopped engaging. They weren't joining the membership. And I was holding these free copy reviews that literally the same one person showed up to every single week, but she never invested in Copy Classroom. And so I'm starting to feel resentful that like this one person is showing up, she's wasting my time, which she wasn't. She was just taking advantage of her free resource. Like, I don't blame her at all. But basically, the free community was a failed experiment. I ended up just getting rid of it, letting the people know inside that, if they want to join the membership, that's an option. Otherwise, they have the other support from podcast, blog, social media. But really, it was like, it's not a bad piece of advice to start a free community, but where I was in business, it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to invest my time and energy into a free community, especially without a plan to convert those people into paying customers. And so instead of just like spending my time and energy signing more people into the membership, I was spending my time and energy getting people into this free community, which then was leading nowhere. And so what I do instead is really just use my social media as my free community, use my email marketing as my free community, and share value in that way, use this podcast. And then when people are ready to invest, when people are ready to get the support they need, they are obviously welcome inside Copy Classroom. And the other thing too is like, because I gave up the free community, I am able to spend that time and energy making the membership better for the people who are paying. And so that is also a much better use of my time and energy, because I'm able to serve my clients. Serving my clients is my top priority when it comes to my business. So all of that being said, there's some bad business advice out there. Some of it is not necessarily bad. It's just not the right fit for your business. And I think that's one skill that I've really had to cultivate, and why I am not investing in coaching at the moment is really being able to take the advice and learn to trust myself and figure out what is going to make most sense for me and my business, because I am the person who knows my business better than anyone else. And so before I take this person's advice or this person's advice, really taking the time to reflect, like, is this going to work for me? Do I have the time and capacity? Is this a priority that's going to help me reach my goals? And making decisions from that standpoint. So if you are somebody who is doing something a certain way and that advice doesn't feel right, you are doing it because you feel like you have to do it in that way, just know that you do not have to do it in that way. There are plenty of ways to do all the things to reach the same points in business of where you want to be. So you have permission to trust your gut, let go of the shitty advice, and just go with it. And if you are somebody who is struggling with copywriting, I will reiterate my 2 paths. One is Copy Classroom, where is a very done with you service so that you can get hands-on support learning to write your own high converting copy. And the other is the Copy Studio, now booking for one-time and retainer clients. So if you are interested in getting more support with copywriting, brand messaging, anything like that, shoot me a DM to get started. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to rate and leave a review on your preferred listening platform. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe for weekly episodes about how to make money and work with the dreamiest of clients without having to get dressed in the morning. Make sure to check out the show notes down below, and I'll see you in the next episode.